Okay, so here we are in Brussels, which is the capital of the Flemish region, of the Belgian state, and of course also of the European Union. It now has 1 million inhabitants, of which 1/3 is Muslim. So in the past, Brussels used to be a Flemish city, Flemish speaking, but over the decades, more and more Muslims have come up to a point where, yeah, in certain neighborhoods it's like 90 to 100% Muslim.
And how has that affected the city?
Well, when the American president Donald Trump visited the city, he said Brussels is a hellhole. And then he got a lot of critic for that, but we, as Flemish patriots, we say he's right. Because Brussels has become... Brussels is still a beautiful city. It has beautiful places to be, but when it comes to the population and the crime and radical Islam, it is really terrible. Brussels is now the capital city of Islamic terrorism in Europe. You know, the attacks in Paris, the terrible attacks on the Bataclan, have all been planned here in Brussels, have all been executed by gangs from Brussels. I was present at the airport of Zaventem when the Muslim terrorists attacked, so I saw the bomb explode, and I saw the people who were completely in shock and traumatized by the event. So terror attacks are not new in this country by Muslims, and I know at that time when the bomb exploded, and people around me were shouting like, "What is happening? What is happening?" And I immediately said, "This is a Muslim terror attack." I knew it was coming, because if you follow some actual footage from other countries, it was only a matter of time before Muslims would also attack us, Europeans. And this is going to happen more and more. People sometimes say, well, it has to do with the state of Israel. Or in this case, they are saying it has to do with burning of a Quran in Sweden. No, it has nothing to do with the state of Israel. It has nothing to do with the burning of a Quran. It has to do with Islam itself. It is the Quran that says 23 times that a Muslim must kill infidels. So we are infidels, so you know it is coming. Don't try to find some rational explanation. This is what their cult tells them to do. One of the main reasons why terrorists find Brussels so attractive is that the left-wing policy here does not act against illegal aliens. So we have lots of illegal aliens coming in from Northern Africa, and they are just tolerated. They just can roam around here. They are not taken into custody. They are not put on flights to send them back. The left-wing regime is refusing to maintain law and order. And I'll just show you a place here where they are gathering. There.
Is this the square where all of the migrants hang out?
Yeah. So they are always hanging here, standing around, dealing drugs.
But why do they hang out here? Is it because they live here, or is it just a gathering?
They sleep over in the park over there.
Okay. Do you think it's possible to talk with them?
They can get very aggressive very quickly, and of course, as you can see, there's no police to be seen around. So it's best to simply go past them.
But why do they stay at one place all the time?
They are gathering at several places here in Brussels. They are receiving hands out by so-called left-wing humanitarian NGOs. So they are giving them food and water, and the state is giving them...
But how do you know that they sell drugs?
Well, that is a well-known fact in Brussels, you know. Everyone knows that if you need some illegal drugs, people come to these places and it's all there. It is common knowledge. So as you can see, Brussels, when it comes to history and monuments, it can be a very, very nice and attractive place. But as the policy is now, the people who are running around here from Africa and the Middle East, this is terrible. This is making the city dangerous for not only for Swedish people who are visiting, but also for Flemish people. So that's one of the big train stations. They are robbing people, taking money, stealing luggage. That is their income. I should have taken that one.
There are a lot of beggars here.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Are
these
they
two
gypsies?
These two are these illegal migrants who are everywhere. Yeah. Could be everything. It's like gypsies, it's like people from the Balkan, Macedonia, Kosovo, Northern Africa. I was born in Antwerp, in a neighborhood that is the most Islamized from Antwerp. So people call it Borgerocco, named after Morocco, because it has a population of over 40% Moroccans. So as a child I saw how my neighborhood was changing and was Islamizing, so I started very early with activism against this. But unfortunately, at one point we got 46% of the votes.
Vlaams Belang.
Vlaams Belang. So we were on the brink of taking power to be able to stop this Islamization, but then of course the regime, because for me Belgium is no longer a democracy, it is just a regime. The regime started a trial to try and ban the party. So they made a court case against the party, the Vlaams Belang. So they banned us, of course, for so-called racism, but everyone knows, yeah, everything that is critical for the regime is now racism.
So this is the neighborhood where the terrorist lived?
Yes, indeed. So, as we know now, he was an illegal alien. He was not allowed to stay in Belgium. But then these people only get a paper where it is written you need to leave the country, and then there's no enforcement by police whatsoever. So we are now driving into the neighborhood where this Muslim terrorist that killed the Swedish football supporters, where he lived. As far as we know now, he was an illegal alien. He could not stay here. So in that case, he gets a paper which says leave the country, but this order is not enforced. So it is not enforced by the police, it is not enforced by the government. They just allow all these illegal aliens, even when they are dangerous, they just allow them to stay in the country.
This terrorist, he was already known by the secret police.
Yes, so it seems. So he was put on a list, kind of a warning list of people of which they know that they are dangerous, but there was no follow-up whatsoever. So now it's like the middle of the day, the sun is shining, so it doesn't really look very bad. But make no mistake, the atmosphere changes here in the evening. These are very dangerous neighborhoods for the police to patrol and to guard. And well, as a tourist or a visitor, I would not advise you to be here in the evening. That is not safe. If you go to Russia, if you go to China, if you go to the United States and you do not have a valid visa, it is illegal, it is a crime, it is against the law. And then, of course, the second point is that this also comes from this European Court for so-called human rights. So this European Court says, no, you cannot send illegal aliens back to their home country. This is crazy, because there is no human right that allows you to live wherever you want. It does not exist. It is an invention by these left-wing judges. And this is, yeah, one of the big issues of our time. We have given away, as Europeans, our sovereignty. We do not decide anymore about our own country, about who is allowed to be here and who is not.
How has the Belgian and Flemish people reacted to the news of the recent terror attack?
Flemish people are really divided into two big blocks now. Because this is a culture war, this is no longer a political discussion, it is a culture war. Half of the population of Flanders is really fed up with this Muslim terror. We are really ashamed that this happened to Swedish people in our country. We feel sad and sorry for the Swedish people and for these victims and for their families. So we are really fed up. We would like to clean this up, to take our country back, to make sure that this is again a safe country. But that's only half of the population, you know. The other half of the population believes the propaganda of the regime, which is of course being broadcasted every day on television, on radio. So every television station in Flanders and Belgium is regime. It's state television or it is paid television. Every newspaper here spreads the propaganda. It's all regime.
But how can a party like Vlaams Belang grow when the media doesn't report about the problems?
It grows because out of experience. People experience in their own lives what the real consequences of multiculturalism are. They are being robbed, they are being harassed, especially women are being harassed on the streets. There are attacks, there are terrorist attacks. So people experience reality, and that is why they start understanding that we must do something against it. But the other half of people, like elderly people staying inside, watching TV all day, they believe, no, we should all just try to get along, we should all just be humans. And this is still, this propaganda by the regime is still capable, to convince quite some people.
How is the city evolving now? In Sweden we see a lot of young families moving out of the city centers for demographic and economic reasons. How is it looking here in Brussels?
I think that we are already in the next phase. So we saw this moving of European families out of the cities like 20 years ago. It was called the White Flight, so really a massive movement out of the city. So we are already past this. So our big cities have been Islamized. so they are now like 30% Muslim. And yeah, there's no European families coming back to the cities. It's not happening. The wave that we see now is the wave of illegal aliens. And these are not only just North Africans, they are coming from everywhere. In Flanders, unemployment is at a record low. So there is only, at this moment, like 3 or 4% of people in Flanders who is unemployed. All the rest is at work. But here in Brussels, unemployment with Muslims goes up to 40%. So 40% of Muslims in this city is not working. Why? Because there is no work? No, there is lots of work. Every company around is crying for labor. On the one hand, they are getting welfare, they are being paid by the state if they are unemployed, so they take this. And in the same time, they are having all kind of illegal economic activities. In parts of Antwerp, for instance, a Flemish city, there have been calculations that in Muslim neighborhoods, the legal economy is smaller than the illegal economy. So there is being more money made with smuggling, with drugs, with illegal shops, with illegal bars, than there is with genuine, honest work. So this propaganda is really ridiculous. Migration will never be an investment in economy and labor. It is only going to cost you money, a lot of money.
The future, how is it looking for Belgium?
I am not optimistic. And I think many people here are actually quite pessimistic about the future. Muslims are now so massive here. Their birth rate is also much higher than that of Flemish people. So Flemish people have like an average of 1.5 child. The birth rate of Muslims is like 3 or 4. It is terrible. So demography is really not working in our favor. So I think that many Flemish are starting to prepare like a new way of society, where we must more stick together, where we must do things together on our own, in our own like Flemish organizations, Flemish traditions, and maybe even relocate in a physical way, go and live together in places where we can still be with Flemish people. Because the future is not looking good here in Western Europe, and I don't see at this point any solution yet.
I figured that this kind of terrorist attacks and other statistics about crime, are these known by the population? And
no. Because of course in all the media, the propaganda media of the regime, all these numbers, all these facts are being ignored. It is being downplayed, you know, it's being downplayed in a way like, well, every country has its Islamic terrorists. And then we say like, no.
Hungary and Poland.
Hungary has no Islamic terrorists. Poland has no Islamic terrorists. But then either they ignore this or they say, well, there's all kind of other things being wrong there. But the fact that we are living in this total chaos of Islamic terrorism and crime, no, it is not being recognized as such.
Most Muslims aren't criminals, but there's also a part of keeping your own identity. And by that I mean that you don't want to be replaced in your own country. That feeling, is that something that you think that many Belgian people feel deep inside?
Absolutely. That is of course one of the main elements that is making the Vlaams Belang grow in the polls and probably will make the Vlaams Belang win the elections next year, because aside from all the other aspects of mass immigration, there is this genuine feeling that we are no longer at home in our own country. And if you think about it, well, you only have one country, you know, and the moment that this country is no longer your country, well, where will you go? You can't run, you can't hide. So yes, this is a very strong feeling that something must be done about that.
And you were once a politician, but now you work as a legal advisor in the parliament.
Yes.
Did you bring these topics up when you worked as a politician?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that at one point in the neighborhood where I lived, we drew up a leaflet and we made the calculation at that time, and we said, okay, at this moment we are still a small majority of the population. So it was like 60% Flemish in the neighborhood and 40% Muslim. So we made a leaflet and we said, okay, this is your final chance to decide on your own future. Because if you wait one or more elections, it's not going to be you who decide, it's going to be Muslims who decide. So in that election we got 46% of the vote, which was very good, but was not a majority. So all the other parties, the left-wing parties, the regime parties, they made a coalition against us, kept us out of power. So now the neighborhood is like 70% Muslim. So that is what happens.
And now there's no going back.
There's no going back, and well, people make their choice, you know. I'm very sad about where this country is going, but people vote for it time and time again. So there is always a majority of people here who votes for chaos, who votes for more immigration, who votes for Islamization. So yeah, it's their choice. It's only sad, of course, that the 40 and 45% of people who do not want to be Islamized is also the victim.